Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for the next installment of BTS Asset Management's Building Your Business series. I'm Gary Schulman, the Strategic Accounts Director here at BTS. Today, we will not be focusing on BTS and our strategies, but for those that do not know us, BTS has over 40 years of experience in risk management with a focus on finding opportunities in fixed income, equities, and alternative investments. The primary goals for many of our strategies are capital preservation, producing income, and the ability to also provide growth. While we have a number of different strategies and avenues of accessing them, we want to continue providing you ways to help grow your business. Today, we will be discussing the latest information on the Great Wealth Transfer and detailing steps to winning over the next generation of clients. We are on the cusp of the largest transfer of wealth in our country's history, and we want to help position your business for this huge opportunity. I'm happy to introduce Daniel Kenny, CEO, and Kristian Borghesan, Chief Marketing Officer of FutureVault. FutureVault can be a valuable tool to help make wealth transfers as smooth as possible. BTS is fortunate to have Daniel and Kristian with us today to share their expertise in this area. Kristian, I'll let you take it from here.
That's great. Yeah, thanks, Gary. Really appreciate the warm introduction there, of course. And I wanted to extend a thank you, obviously, to everyone for joining us today for the hour. We know that everyone has incredibly busy schedules, so we're thankful that you decided to spend time with us. We've got a good one for you that we're looking forward to. So, the Great Wealth Transfer isn't a new topic. This is something that has been an ongoing and actually a growing conversation in financial services and wealth management space for several years now, even the last decade. But it is a conversation that is entering the spotlight more and more as wealth transfers begin to take place, and more of them will continue to take place. And as the movement of money, assets, wealth, translate to a movement of relationships, firms and advisors as well, there's a lot involved. And so that's why today's discussion is centered around the keys to success when it comes to the Great Wealth Transfer, and really how you and your firm can just better prepare to win over the next generation of clients. And so, we always like to start off with, really before we get into the meat and potatoes of things and more the heavy strategic stuff, it's important to ask ourselves, well, why are we talking about this Great Wealth Transfer? And I'm sure, all these reasons, the 4 reasons that we'll go over, you've probably heard and you're probably aware of, but it's really good to set the stage and set the precedent. So the first one is that the Great Wealth Transfer presents itself either as impending doom or impending opportunity in the Holy Grail for advisory firms and wealth managers. It's a little bleak, but there's a lot of truth behind that. Now, the second notion is that most financial advisors are actually not prepared for engaging with the next generation, and many soon-to-be heirs will be looking to move away from their parents' relationships. That number, which we'll share shortly, is actually quite an alarming one. So it's very significant for us to talk about today. The third reason is that wealth transfer, or rather this transfer of wealth has massive implications on how firms and wealth advisors need to be operating their businesses and servicing households to really just to better secure any chance they might have of participating in those conversations with their clients and with families, and of course in retaining not only the assets, but really it's about retaining the relationships for many generations to come. And the fourth reason here is that it is estimated, and really this depends on the amount of wealth being transferred, but in most cases what we're seeing is that about 80 to 90% of wealth is actually lost by the third generation. And so what does this tell us? Well, it tells us that there's a lot of room for improvement for different tax strategies and overall education and awareness that involve family members, not just the immediate client that you're dealing with. It extends beyond that. And so this stuff is really important, and your role as an advisor or a wealth professional can really shine during these wealth transfer circumstances. And so that's why we're going to talk about it. Now, we're going to dive into quite a bit of things in today's discussion. So during today's webinar, there's 4 things we're going to be covering. What we know about the Great Wealth Transfer, backed by research and finding, what we know about this next generation of clients and investors and why it really matters, what top producing firms are currently doing and the strategies they're implementing to retain those relationships. And we're going to talk about other key considerations to help firms and advisors engage with and win over the next generation. So we'll do a quick introduction. My name's Kristian Borghesan. As Gary had already mentioned, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at FutureVault. We're an industry-leading digital vault solution provider for wealth managers and firms. And I'm thrilled to be joined by our CEO here at FutureVault, Daniel Kenny. So Daniel, do you want to share a little bit about your background for everyone who's joined, and maybe just a couple quick words on the wealth transfer?
Yes, absolutely. So thank you, Kristian and Gary, for the opportunity and for everyone's time today. So as Kristian mentioned, I'm the CEO of FutureVault. Prior to coming to FutureVault, I was 22 years in a global bank, or HSBC, in various parts of the world, from Asia to North America. And certainly in that experience, the banking experience, and as CEO of FutureVault, you see the importance of documentation, ensuring that you have documents securely stored, available, especially when you have life events like a transfer of wealth. So I was introduced to the firm and saw the value for family offices, individuals, irrespective of your wealth, but having the documentation in a secure location available for your lawyer, your accountant to access, and to ensure not just a transfer of wealth, but just the peace of mind, the financial wellness that you often hear about, that all of my documents and everything is in order for just not myself, but my entire family, and it's transparent and available when these life events do happen. So very nice to be here today, and looking forward to the conversation. Thank you, Chris.
That's great. Thanks, Daniel. Really appreciate the color there on that. And so on to our first topic that we're going to be covering today and during the hour that we're spending together. So what do we know about the great wealth transfer? Well, there's quite a few things that I'm sure, again, some of you are already familiar with, and that really everyone here needs to be familiar with. And most of these stats here, actually all of them, are pulled from research produced by Cerulli Associates. They've been doing a ton of coverage on wealth transfer. And the first one here is that Cerulli projects that wealth transferred through to 2045 will actually total close to $85 trillion, and $72.5 trillion in assets will be transferred to heirs, and the rest will be donated to charities and so forth. But what's also important, and this is kind of jumping down to this second box here, is that more than 53 trillion will be transferred from households in the baby boomer generation. And this is going to make up and represent about 63% of all wealth transfers that take place. And the next one here is just the turnover in advisor-client relationships. It's estimated to be about 7 in 10, which is very, very, very significant. And so, the wealth management industry relies on deep relationships, trust that's built over time. And, really the best firms and advisors are the ones that are embracing relationships as a generational strategy. So finding real value-driven ways to invest in relationships with their clients that span over multiple generations is really the winning recipe here with the wealth transfer. And it's more important now than ever as a result of this last statistic here. And I want to sort of emphasize this even more on this slide, and I'll sort of phrase it in a different way, is that more than 70% of heirs are likely to fire or change financial advisors after inheriting their parents' wealth. So massive implications on how firms are approaching many things, technology included, to engage with and attract that next generation of investors and clients to make sure that they're representing them in their value. So really, when I take a look at this number, and when we talk about it even internally or with some of our clients at FutureVault, it's, you can't be comfortable if you haven't laid out or mapped out a generational wealth transfer strategy that directly involves heirs to the wealth. In fact, this actually should make you be uncomfortable. And it's when you're uncomfortable that you're really about to grow and take on growth. And so remember, change is inevitable. If you're not willing to change or adapt, your clients, as indicated by this 70%, are going to do that without you regardless. Now, next up, we're going to talk a little bit about what we know about this next generation of clients and investors. And so there's a couple of things. We know that this next generation of clients expect a digital and hybrid formats for wealth management and custom tailored solutions. But really, what it boils down to is that there is a paradigm shift taking place with this next generation, and they do come with a significantly different set of expectations. So they expect products, services, and advice that's relevant and meaningful to them. I mean, it seems obvious, right? But maybe it isn't so. Traditionally, wealth management has been, at least when we're talking about scale to the mass affluent crowd, a very cookie cutter, templated, predefined type of approach. And it makes sense when you think about it. It's easy to scale, it's easy to offer those types of solutions and products. But now with the vast amount of innovative solutions, technologies, and offering available, it is possible to deliver these really bespoke service and engagement models, products to clients at scale. And that's really what your clients, or this next generation of clients, are craving and are looking for. And it's some research actually here also indicates that about 64% of millennial investors, and I think it's somewhere around 51% of those that are aged between 35 and 54, said they're willing to pay more for individualized, personalized investment products and services. So what you're delivering to them really matters, and that's just a subset of their values and their expectations. And we're seeing a lot of this on goal-based investment strategies really being a method that advisors are beginning to leverage as that bespoke offering. And we're starting to see a lot more of different innovative solutions being put forth to accommodate for the needs and the expectations of that next generation. And I'll share one other quote, or rather finding here, from a Franklin Templeton survey. And this was in collaboration with Institutional Investors Custom Research Lab, where there was, I think it was somewhere around 250 RIAs were surveyed for this, and 89% of them actually indicated and agreed that a high quality, personalized digital client experience is an important competitive differentiator. So it's not just the next generation that's talking about this. It's actually your current clients and the families you're working with right now. And it's also, the firms and the advisors as well too. So, I'm really thrilled to see that this is becoming such an important area that's gaining the respective spotlight. And we're going to start to see a lot more of this as we sort of go down the path of, wealth transfers taking place. So moving on to, really, I would say the bread and butter of today's discussion is, what are the top producing firms and advisors doing right now to mitigate risks and improve their chances of winning over the next generation? Based on our own research here at FutureVault, as well as what we're seeing taking place across the industry, we're noticing that there's 7 very critical things that are taking place that firms and advisors are doing really well. And it is, 1, aligning business values, practices, and resources. And we'll go into all of these in more detail as we go along. The second one is developing that intergenerational continuity plan for the family and for the next generation. The third one, which is very, very, very critical, is facilitating structured generational family meetings. This is one of the most tried and true strategies. It's something that we often see and hear about when dealing with ultra high net worth clients or in the family office space, but it doesn't have to be reserved for just that. The fourth one is engaging with family members, and notably here we wanted to really spotlight how important it is to build that relationship with the spouse. I know Daniel's going to talk a little bit more about this one in particular. Communication and education, not just with existing clients, but finding a way to communicate to and educate the next generation so that you're already building trust and loyalty with them, so that when the time comes, when they're ready to make investments or they need an insurance product or whatever it is, you and your firm are top of mind for them. Tax efficiency. This is a massive one. When you're dealing with a large sum of money, millions, multi-millions of wealth, being transferred, taxes can be the devil. And so, if you can deliver a tax efficient solution, you're going to provide a ton of value out of the gate. And the last one here, and this is one that, again, Daniel's going to touch on quite a bit, leveraging best of breed digital technologies to really bring your firm to the future and where it needs to be to meet those growing expectations and those demands of clients. But not only that, really to bolster your operational efficiency, meet compliance, improve data security, everything across your back and your front offices as well too. So a lot to unpack there in each of these 7, and we're going to get started right now. So the first one, and really I think firms need to take a step back here in order just to realign their business values, ensure that they're meeting the values and goals of this next generation. So with that in mind, there's 4 critical areas that you see here right on these slides that you really should be evaluating. And these 4 areas are business processes. So how are you onboarding clients? How are you working with them or for them on building and reviewing a financial plan? How are you, for example, doing that ongoing maintenance and that client servicing piece that you need to? The second one there is communication channels. That's a very big one. So, what we're seeing again is that some of the best firms are really taking this into consideration as far as the different ways they're interacting, communicating, and educating their clients. Are you using social media, email marketing? What other digital channels can you do to get in front of your current clients, the prospects you're looking to bring on, and of course that next generation? Engagement and service models. How exactly are you structuring the way you engage with and charge your clients? What is that relationship? Is it based on a percentage? Are you moving towards more fee-based products and models? And importantly, human resources. I would say that of these 4 areas, the one that we have found that is often very overlooked is the human resource allocation. And so the question you really need to be thinking about or asking yourself and internally with your firm is, do you have the right staff and advisors to engage with the next generation? And I'll give a quick anecdote here. I was recently speaking with an advisory team who openly acknowledged that their firm felt they were unequipped to adequately engage with the next generation of clients, whether that would be next gen from their current clients or just new clients coming in inbound, and requesting to work with the firm. So as a result, what this firm did, they were an RIA, they're about a mid-sized RIA. They actually ended up hiring 2 young up-and-coming associate advisors who had a lot more in common with their younger clients and soon-to-be clients. And so these advisors are now responsible for much of the wealth transfer conversations where the next gen is involved. And for any young prospective clients that are coming to the firm or looking to work with that firm, these young advisors are responsible for taking that on. And so while there are a ton of examples like this anecdote I just shared taking place across the industry, it really still is a topic that needs and there's a merit for more discussion to be had, and this to be a proper strategy that needs to be considered. Moving forward here, the second wealth transfer strategy is building an intergenerational continuity plan, but not just building one, maintaining one. And so this really is a comprehensive financial plan and outlines how a family's wealth will be managed, how it will be transferred to the soon-to-be heirs and future generations moving forward. When put in place, these plans can really provide, very much like a financial plan that you would work with a client individually on, or maybe a couple. It really provides a detailed roadmap for managing and transferring wealth that ultimately has to come back and align with the family's goals and objectives. And it's very common and really just good practice altogether that this intergenerational continuity plan includes strategies for managing and protecting assets, minimizing taxes, which of course we're going to get into, and importantly, ensuring that wealth and assets are distributed in a fair and equitable manner. Of course, that would kind of be delegated by the family or by the patriarch or matriarch. And so at the end of the day, establishing this intergenerational continuity plan for your clients and the families you work with provides assurances for the family by ensuring that the family values and legacies are preserved and passed on. Now, importantly, and I think this is a really key takeaway for everyone here today, is that an intergenerational continuity plan not only helps to retain assets, but it's also about facilitating the transfer of knowledge, expertise, and critical information to family members. So we, and I say we as an industry, we often get fixated on the transfer of assets and really focusing just on the wealth piece. But in order to really execute this and manage that as best as we can, we need to have a solid plan in place, first and foremost, for transferring information, data, and documentation that will allow you to do a much better job when it comes to actually transferring the wealth. So moving forward here, we're going to jump to the third wealth transfer strategy, which is family meetings. So family meetings are a really tried and true approach that can help advisors create this intergenerational continuity plan, even when we talk, like we just talked about, while also making sure that this plan is continually worked on, it's revised, it's revisited, and it's followed through with. So family meetings encourage all of the necessary and the required family members to participate in discussing all of the critical areas and information that go into a plan: goals and values, transfer strategies, legacy, estate discussions, assets, liabilities, wealth across multiple different sources, and so forth. And so your role as an advisor in these family meetings is not to hijack them, or not to focus on your own agenda. Really, you're acting as the trusted facilitator in these situations. And so I would encourage you to think of a family meeting as not your meeting, but rather that you are there to facilitate the conversation for the family. So you're there to make sure everyone is feeling comfortable, to encourage dialogue and participation that helps everyone in the family better understand the dynamics that will ultimately then lead to a successful wealth transfer for the family. And so the benefits, I've outlined 4 benefits here. There's plenty more, of course, but really the 4 main benefits would be: there's a retention of relationships and assets. There's a better understanding of family dynamics and the information that needs to be shared across families. There's building not just trust with generation 1, but there's building trust with G2 and G3 and so forth. And of course, there's an increase in the value of your own practice and for your firm as well. So there's a lot of upside for hosting these family meetings. They can be a lot of work. They can be very, time intensive, but when done properly and when followed through with them, they can really benefit everyone involved. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to share a little bit of a blueprint. So we put together a 6-step blueprint, and we can use the term blueprint very loosely here, but you can think of them as actionable takeaways for advisors to facilitate a successful family meeting and strengthen that client relationship. So what I would say, really, before we get into these 6 steps, is to consider why you're doing this. And by this, I mean hosting a family meeting. So for your firm and for your practice, for sure, of course, but it's really about creating value and helping your clients have these important conversations with their family members that they need to have, but they may not know how to really have them, and how to talk about important financial matters with that next generation, or know what information should be shared and what shouldn't be shared with G2 or G3. And so in return, you're going to see massive upside. But remember, you're the expert, you're the trusted professional in your clients' lives. And of course, you're soon to be for the entire family. So just don't take your role for granted here. So I'm going to just sort of pepper through each of these. The first step is preparation. It always starts with making sure that everything is prepared in order to facilitate these meetings. So a few key things here would be setting a clear objective with the family. Really that starts with your primary client and really understanding what they want to get out of it, but working with them on that objective, coordinating logistics, understanding their goals, their preferences, what they want to see out of it, and importantly, working with them to identify who are the key family members that need to be involved and need to be having this discussion with them. Making sure that you share the agenda in advance is a really good way to make sure everyone comes to the meeting as prepared as possible, but also to make sure that there are no surprises, right? And of course, becoming familiar with existing trusted professionals and third parties that your clients might be working with, whether it's an accountant for the business or on the personal side, whether it's certain real estate brokers or agents or other insurance agents that you're not familiar with. Having a good understanding of that is not only really good to start to prepare these different types of documents that start to piece things together, but it's really going to power you with being that trusted facilitator, so that you are that, you're that trusted person with all financial matters in their life. Number 2 here is creating a safe environment. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory, but you really just want to establish a respectful and a confidential atmosphere. There's going to be a lot of sensitive and personal information and financial information shared. You want to make sure that you're in a safe environment to talk about these things that the family wants to remain private, of course. And importantly, as I mentioned earlier, your job is to encourage that open dialogue and active listening. Make sure that all family members feel valued, feel heard, and really have a role to play in this, because at the end of the day, it is a plan for the family, and it has to be equal across. The third one here is establishing family goals. So we talked about establishing and setting, clear objectives in the individual goals of the client. Now that you've had, identified the family members and that you're starting to meet with them, it's really about establishing the common goals and values across the entire family. So when you encourage conversations about wealth, legacy, and purpose, you'll really start to see, is there alignment with how this wealth, for example, will be used, or are there further follow-up conversations that need to be had to make sure that everyone is on the same page, fostering unity and alignment across everyone. Step number 4 here, if we move forward, is all about education and empowering the next generation. So providing educational resources to enhance financial literacy, whether those are basic or more complex themes and topics in finances. Empowering young family members in the next generation to share their perspectives, share what they know or what they don't know, or what they want to learn about understanding the different areas of their financial picture, and really cultivate that overall understanding of these principles that are going to importantly impact their future. So finding a way to do that is incredibly powerful. I've got another slide coming up later that talks about this, and we can dive into more of that. Number 5 here would kind of be, aligned with the intergenerational plan, is developing that comprehensive wealth transfer plan. So now you're really collaborating and you're addressing all of the different critical areas, and you're piecing it together. Where does estate planning fit in? Where does charity and giving fit in? Where does succession planning for a family business fit in? You need to make sure that you fit in the legal side of things. There's a compliance requirement. Taxes are key. Again, we'll talk about taxes in just a little bit here. And importantly, as you're creating this plan has to be documented. It's got to be memorialized somewhere so that you can go back and look at what was discussed and just revisit that and sort of use that as a stopgap starter and just continue to work on that document. And that leads into number 6 here, which is the ongoing review and documentation. Encourage regular touch points. I would really recommend, and we would recommend, to establish a cadence that works best for the family on how often you're revisiting and reviewing, the wealth transfer plan and this intergenerational continuity plan, because it really matters a lot, right? And so for ultra high net worth clients and families, you're going to want to meet a little more regularly, because there's a lot more financial, legal, business complexities involved, meaning that there's often more shifting information in real time that's a lot more dynamic. And so it's really important to make sure that you are addressing concerns, that you're updating the plan as you go, just to make sure that information is institutionalized, it's shared, it's up to date, and it reflects the family as best as possible. So for the next wealth transfer strategy here, we're going to quickly chat about engaging with the spouse or key family members. Now, Daniel, do you want to share a few key takeaways here for everyone?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Kristian. So in this slide here, it's all about, again, engaging with the spouse or really any part of the family where you want to have transparency, you want to have access and security for the documents and that we spoke about earlier, that plan. Where are the documents? Where are these decisions memorialized? And if they change, and the governance. So governance is a big deal. ensuring the family office or the family's assets are managed properly. There's transparency and governance with the lawyer, with the accountant, et cetera. So the platform and the documentation and the meeting minutes and all of that audit trail around these critical decisions should be done in a way that's transparent. And that, again, helps with the financial wellness, is that the spouse, the family, the key stakeholders have the financial wellness, the comfort that everything is transparent, everything is documented, and when a life event does happen, the sequence of operations and steps that are taken are very clear to everyone involved. So it's when these life events do happen that there's high levels of stress, anxiety, emotion. You want to have that plan clearly in place, and you want to share that with your spouse and your family.
That's great. Yeah, no, really appreciate that, Daniel. A lot of good takeaways there. Engaging with the spouse is so critical, and often that's left out in a lot of these plans that are being created. And sometimes advisors, mistakenly, or maybe, just by coincidence, don't really engage with the spouse as much as they would like to. So I think any opportunity you can to engage with the spouse is only going to benefit the family in the long run, and really understanding and bolstering the family dynamic. So we're gonna move on here to talking about education and really educating clients in the next generation. And so how I would preface this is just that literacy and education ultimately lead to trust and value. And I'm thrilled as a marketer myself to see that this has really become a major growing area in the industry that is being taken a lot more seriously, and advisors are really stepping up their overall value props by being able to deliver an enormous amount of value through education. We know that communication and engagement, or rather lack thereof, is one of the biggest reasons that clients end up leaving their wealth advisors. There are numerous articles and research that support this, and it's something that we see time and time again being mentioned. And so stressing the importance of it, well, we just can't stress it enough. But it's not just any type of communication or education that clients crave and seek. It really does need to be tailored, again, to reflect and match up with their expectations. It needs to be specific and personalized. It needs to be relevant to them, to their current and their future lifestyle. So you've really got to make a concerted effort to know your clients, and that's where the communication comes in play. So then you can deliver that timely education and pair those two together. When it comes to the top advisors and top firms, they're active. They're using digital channels to communicate several times a month. It's not just once every 4 to 6 months where they're checking in or providing an article or a resource. They're really doing this repeatedly with their clients and with their prospects. And my takeaway here, for the group would just be, think about how you're currently communicating with your clients. Is there an opportunity for more, or rather better, education that will help them understand certain topics, and then essentially bring them back to you for that really granular advice or that actionable plan? So you're almost encouraging them and sharing with them how to get started, and then they come back to you so that you can work more closely with them. And, importantly, are there ways that you can start to educate their next generation, whether that's in the form of email marketing or different communication that maybe can be shared through the parents or the grandparents, so that, these children or the grandchildren are becoming very familiar with certain and key financial topics that make it easier for them to essentially do business with you and your firm when they're ready to do so. So think about all of those things. And I would say, when you're discussing this internally with your partners or maybe a marketing team that you're working with, really, approach it with a general framework of what I like to refer to as the 3 C's. So number 1 is the content. What is the content that you're delivering? Number 2 is the channels. What are the channels that you're communicating on? Email, social, text, you name it. And then importantly would be the cadence. How frequent is this communication? And does it reflect or align with your clients' goals and their values? So all really critical things to think about. I know there's a lot here to chew on, but just sort of take it in strides, and everything will definitely help to position you and your firm a lot better. So let's switch gears here and really talk about delivering tax efficient solutions. This is a major area when you can, or rather where you can deliver value during any wealth transfer that takes place. So let's quickly recap on some of the stats here because this is important. We know that US households are expected to transfer more than 70 trillion to their heirs by 2045. So there's a lot of money being passed down. You know, baby boomers are expected to pass on upwards of 73% of this amount, somewhere around $51 trillion, maybe a little bit more. What does this mean when we take a look at those numbers? Well, it means that tax efficiency is only going to become increasingly more important. So giving most of the wealth is held by older high net worth investors and will likely be subject to more expensive taxes in the coming decade. And so really, if you can provide clients with tax efficient strategies, whether that's directly in-house or working closely with a trusted CPA and someone that specializes in this area, you can help ensure that clients or that your client's wealth is passed down to the next generation in the most tax efficient manner possible. And they're gonna absolutely love you for making sure of that. So let's go ahead and unpack this a little bit more and focus on why and the reasons or the benefits of making sure that tax efficiency is really at the top of your list for a priority. And there's 6 areas that we've identified here. So number one, you know, to no surprise, is minimizing tax liability. High net worth families often have a substantial amount of assets, wealth, you know, and without really that plan in place or careful planning, a large, and I really mean a large amount of their wealth could very easily be eroded by taxes. So when you're focused on tax efficiency, you can help the families you work with mitigate their tax liability, preserve more of that wealth for future generations. Number 2 is maximizing rather wealth transfer. Effective tax planning enables high net worth families to transfer their wealth to heirs and beneficiaries in the most tax efficient manner. So ultimately, what we're getting at here is we're really talking about intended beneficiaries receiving the maximum benefit here. So you want to minimize tax liability and maximize the wealth that they're receiving. Number 3 is preserving family legacy, and this is a very important one. It's often overlooked as well too. It's talked about, but then sometimes gets dismissed or shoved off to the side. But wealth transfers involve passing on not just financial assets, but also family legacies, values, aspirations, goals, you name it. And so when you can deliver tax efficient strategies, you can actually help protect and preserve the family's legacy for future generations. Number 4 is enhancing financial security. Really what we're talking about here is mapping out various strategies to reduce tax burdens. This ultimately means families can then allocate more resources towards investments, trusts, other types of financial vehicles that they can then generate income and support the long-term financial being of the family, again, not just in the current generation, but for future generations to come. Number 5 is another very important one that I think, you know, often does get pushed to the side sometimes, is mitigating disputes and conflicts. Estate planning and wealth transfers can sometimes lead to conflicts and disputes among family members. So by incorporating tax efficiency, sort of baking it into like the primary objective in the overall planning process, you know, you can really help minimize potential disagreements and disputes that might arise to unequal tax burdens or maybe inefficient structures of, you know, wealth being transferred. And number 6, you know, importantly, we have to talk about this, is complying with legal and regulatory requirements. So tax laws, regulations, they're complex, they're subject to frequent changes. Advisors who are prioritizing tax efficiency and, you know, who stay up to date with the latest tax laws and compliance, you can again help ensure that wealth transfers and strategies are aligned with these legal frameworks to avoid any potential penalties or really serious legal complications. So again, a lot to unpack there, but there's a lot of benefit if you can focus on tax efficiency for your clients. And the number 7, I believe now we're at on the wealth transfer strategies is all about best of breed technology. But I'm gonna pass this one over to Daniel to talk about and unpack.
Yeah, thank you, Kristian. So what we're finding with our clients and as we service the wealth management industry is that trying to choose the right technology and the various point solutions in the tech stack can be very daunting for an advisory firm. So what we try to encourage is choose the best of breed technology components. That could be your CRM, that could be your portfolio management platform, that could be your financial planning platform, or in this case, estate planning platform. And make sure that these technologies can interact with each other. So anything happening in the estate planning software, the documentation, the data, that can flow seamlessly into a platform like FutureVault. So the vault can contain the consequences of those estate planning decisions. The documents are memorialized in a vault with an audit trail, and the wealth advisor can get the benefits of best-in-class technology as opposed to some of the solutions out there where they're trying to do everything, but generally tend to not be good at any one particular thing. Choose the best in breed technology opportunities and options out there, ensure they integrate with each other, and now with APIs and the technology is a lot more facilitative toward ensuring that these applications can talk to each other and then give a great experience to the advisor and even the client, right? So you want that client experience to be world-class, you want the advisor to be efficient, you want your overall operation to be efficient and compliant, so that as you grow your business, you're doing it in a compliant fashion, and you have the best technology. And the technology solutions are actually quite reasonably priced now, and will talk to each other when architected properly. So we believe in a best of breed technology. We don't believe in the all-in-ones. We think that there's tremendous differentiation possible when you have the best in breed, when you interface them or integrate them intelligently, and give a world-class experience to the advisor and client. Thanks, Kristian.
Yeah, no problem. And I'll flip over to this stat here, Daniel, if you kind of want to unpack this one as well, this stat from Deloitte, because I think it's really interesting and it has a lot more implications than just the wealth transfer side of things.
No, exactly. I think the technology is not just for the client, right? And financial advisors want to have the best tools at their fingertips. So if those tools aren't available, or they're seeing their competitors being able to offer differentiating services and products, then people will leave. So you want to ensure that you have the best of breed technology. You want to retain your advisors. By extension, if you retain your advisors, their clients will stay with your firm and the assets are maintained with the firm. So having tech tools and a new demographic of advisors coming into the market and a new demographic of the G2, G3 recipients of wealth that we're talking about here, they're demanding a digital experience. They want a white labeled type experience for their own lives, and a digital experience for not just themselves, but their family, their kids. So having that mobile app that is useful and functional and available and it works. So having the best in class technology for the advisors, for the organization, the asset management company, and the client is a differentiator for everyone. And you want to retain those advisors in your firm with the best tech that you can get.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I think you and I have talked about this quite a bit as well too, is sort of taking that a step further. It's even about the succession plan for advisors, right? As much as we know this next generation of advisors are all hungry for the latest and the most modern technology to support their business and the client experience, we also know some advisors right now that may be looking to eventually transition away from their business or create a succession plan are also looking for ways to adopt technology that makes their business more attractive to actually be able to do so. So a lot of implications here. And really, when you think about it, it just goes to show you how embedded technology has become in modern wealth management.
Exactly. And I think it's back to, again, choosing those tools, what is best in class. And it could be quite daunting, but there are partnerships out there where you can get an estate planning platform integrated with a vault like ours or a portfolio management system, and making sure that everything talks to each other, it's efficient, and even back to the family management where that G2, right, the son or daughter of the household, that they have access to some of these tools as well, and that'll just establish at a young age, maybe they're 16, but they have some critical documents maintained by their wealth advisor who is implicitly trusted. So you're starting to get that access as a wealth advisor to the second generation, potentially the third generation, earlier in their life. And so they'll know who you are. They'll more likely to maintain continuity in the stage of a life event. And the digital experience will be a major contributor toward that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, all good points and all great takeaways for everyone tuning in. So we're going to shift gears here. We're kind of nearing towards the end of today's session, but we wanted to share a few additional key considerations. There's 3 we've got here. Then there's another slide right after this. I'll pass that back to Daniel. But here's really what firms and advisors should be thinking of as an additional consideration. First one, increased demand for services. So financial advisors, the industry as a whole, likely to see an increase in demand for their services as more clients receive inheritances and require really tailored and practical guidance on how to now manage this new wealth that they've just inherited and acquired. And so bringing it full circle and back to the first major wealth transfer strategy we talked about is advisors may need to expand their practices or hire additional staff to really meet this incoming demand. The second one here is an opportunity to build long-term relationships. So inheritances, wealth transfers, they can all be an opportunity for advisors to build that long-term relationship or those relationships with clients and families. And so advisors who are able to provide and really dive into a more comprehensive financial planning approach and advice across its generations, you're going to be able to capture a larger share of wallet and a larger share of that wealth transfer market. And the second one is increasing competition. So wealth transfer market will open up opportunities and attract new competitors, including fintech startups and other technology firms. But use this to your advantage. Advisors just stay up to date with the latest tools and technologies and how you can continue to not only remain competitive, but build a moat around your business so that you're set for the next generation of clients that are coming your way. And the other key consideration here, and Daniel, I'll flip this one back to you if you're okay, but really stressing the importance of having a secure digital document vault for all things related to the wealth transfer and the family information.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's having it secure, digitized, available on demand, shared with your trusted advisors, but still secure and encrypted. In today's world of cybersecurity risks and so on, and personal information, you want to have it secure. And people would store it in a physical vault, we'll do it in a digital vault. And having that available and all the functionality that the vault software has is the best way to obviously proceed. And so we strongly believe in digital vaults, and it's not just for the estate plan, it's all documentation related with the family. It's everything ranging from their statements, their financial plan, their will, their deeds, documents related to the house, documents related to the family. So having all that in a structured vault that's secure with a whole host of functionality for permissioning in with the banker, the accountant, the lawyer is the way to go. And it's a great digital experience. You can sleep at night that it's not sitting in an email box that could be compromised. It's in a secure digital vault.
Well, with that, I think that is probably a perfect segue now to share more about really what FutureVault is, what we do, and how we're helping firms and advisors across the wealth management space. So I'll let you talk on this one, and then I'll share a few more key slides after that, if you're okay, Daniel.
Yes, absolutely. So, we're obviously have a number of clients live throughout Canada and north of the U.S. and other parts of the world. We've won a number of awards. These are not pay-to-play awards. We're very proud of our technology. We've got 3 patents granted, 1 pending, 3 trademarks. We do have hundreds of thousands of vaults live, and that will continue to grow in the coming years and months. And millions of documents in the platform, so entirely secure. We're proud of our security. We are PCI DSS SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. We consider this table stakes and we're comfortable dealing with regulators in various jurisdictions like the SEC and FINRA. So again, world-class platform. We've invested millions of dollars into the technology. We have real names, real clients. It's a B2B2C white labeled product, so issued by the wealth management firm to clients, all white labeled, digital vault, online, web-based, and on the mobile phone. So happy to do more on that, Kristian, obviously, but yeah, we're very proud of the company and the product that we built.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks, Daniel. And I think, maybe what I'll do just for the next little bit is just kind of go through some more details of FutureVault. This is one I always like to share, Daniel. You touched on this, but it's really just demonstrating that here at FutureVault, there's a lot of value you get when you work with us. So there's sort of three core value pillars. One is the information security and the compliance. Daniel just spoke about how we really value that, but also why and how it's table stake, not just for the platform, but for the firms and advisors we work with. So data privacy, data protection for enterprise advisor and client information. And of course, on the regulation side, right? Making sure that, for example, you're meeting the latest books and records requirements, certain things like that. And that's really core to our platform. We continue to invest in that as well too. The second area is operational efficiency and productivity, automation of documents to end clients, improving the way that advisors are engaging with their clients and delivering and exchanging information, which includes wealth transfer related information and family related information. And the last part, in a part that is so core to everything we do here, is the digital client experience and engagement piece through what we call personal life management. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that as I go through, but really ultimately, FutureVault serves as a single secure source of truth for all enterprise, advisor, client information, data, and documentation within one white labeled environment. Like Daniel talked about, there's a lot of different use cases and how the firms we work with are actually using the vault for their business and for their practice. We've got firms leveraging it as a digital books and records tool. We've got firms using our software to automate a lot of multi-custodial documents, statements, onboarding documents, tax documents to clients, automating advisor commission statements, things like that. We've got a lot of clients using our secure document checklist to securely receive and ingest documents from clients if you're going through a financial planning or an estate planning or a legacy planning exercise or process with your clients. And importantly, I'll share just two more, is one, helping your clients organize their lives. So that's not just the relationship you have with them in those critical documents, but it's about their personal life. How are they managing all of the household related documentations, their licenses and IDs, their eyeglass prescriptions, things like that, empowering them to take the structure of their life to the next level, which will help them when it comes to wealth transfer conversations and so forth. And so I'm actually going to share a very quick, and I know we're coming up on time here, I'm going to share a very quick example, and I'll walk through and illustrate how our clients, a lot of them, are using the vault today with their clients and encouraging their clients to provide secure access and permissions to the next generation. So really what this means is that our clients are creating an enormous value proposition in their firm that cascades throughout the household and across multiple generations to build a relationship right now with the next generation. So what you're looking at here is a white label digital vault experience. This is Acme Financial. This could be your brand, your firm. This is the end client experience of an investor wealth management client named John Smith. On the right-hand bar there, both highlighted and magnified by the blue circle are John Smith's entities. This is a unique and actually a patented feature that we have on the platform that allows advisors and clients to manage an array of documentation across different entities, which could be individuals in the household, trusts, holding companies, properties, you name it, by labeling and tagging documentation with the respective entity at play. And so you'll notice here that one of John Smith's entities is actually for his son, John Smith Jr. So now any documents that John Smith uploads for Junior can now be labeled and associated with that particular entity. So think of things like medical and legal records, eyeglass prescriptions, a bronze medallion, driver's licenses, government IDs, you name it, any document related to Junior can be brought in there into the vault, ingested, and labeled and tagged. Now, John Smith would actually like Junior to access and manage his own information, helping him to better organize his own personal life as he gets older. So we actually refer to the vault for the end client, and for the family use, the personal side here is the personal life management vault, which we do have a trademark for. And so what happens now on this screen, what you're looking at, is now John Smith is creating trusted access and providing trusted access to Junior, but only for the folders and the documents that are tagged with the John Smith Jr., so Junior's entity. Now, once those permissions are created, an email notification is actually going to get triggered and sent out. Junior will receive this, informing him that he now has trusted access to the family vault. And so what happens, let me just back up here, sorry, is that once Junior logs in, you'll notice that his vault and the access in the folders looks different than John Smith's vault. And that's because what Junior is now seeing are only the folders and the documentation related to the entity John Smith Jr. So essentially the client, John Smith, has provided trusted access to one of his children, again, Junior, where this can now be viewed almost as we like to refer to it sort of as like a mini vault within a vault. So Junior can now access, store, share, upload all of his personal documentation, legal, financial, business too. In this vault, they can automatically be tagged with his entity. So the best part about this is that it's completely white labeled. It's branded to your firm, your practice, meaning that your firm and your advisors, or you as the advisor, you're automatically creating value. You're gaining that mind share immediately with this next generation, with Junior in this case. And so it's also important to note that there are mobile applications as well too. So every bit of information now that Junior's looking to access or upload or share with someone, Junior can access this on the go with a custom white labeled digital mobile application, which would be your brand as well too. So I wanted to highlight that, just kind of bring it full circle to today's discussion about engaging with the next generation of clients. And Gary, maybe I'll flip it over to you, just seeing where we're at on time right now.
Yeah, we're coming upon 3, so if you only have like 1 or 2 more slides, I'll just do a quick close once you're done.
Yeah, we've got just a couple here. I mean, I won't share that. It's just, you know, I wanted to share this because this is a question that we get asked. It's a frequently asked question. It's going back to the family meeting concept. So how often should family meetings take place? And really that answer is as often as needed. Now, we recommend having that cadence the same way you would with a client anyways, every 6 to 12 months for really critical in-depth meetings for total coverage. Quarterly meetings, maybe even more frequent for ultra high net worth families where there's a lot of complexity involved. But I think the important thing here is that whenever there are significant life events that take place, so this could be a retirement, let's say, of the parent or of the grandparent, you know, G1, someone's retiring. It could be death in the family, unfortunately. It could be liquidity event, and maybe, you know, they're selling the family business. Anytime events like that take place would be a great prompt for you to encourage another family meeting to take place, and then you're going to want to document all of the updates that then take place. So I think I'll leave on that. Daniel, is there anything else that you wanted to leave everyone here with before we sort of wrap up?
No, I think we've covered a lot of ground. So thank you again, Gary and Kristian, for setting this up and for everyone's time today.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Daniel and Kristian. I think that was a really great presentation. I think everyone in attendance today received a lot of valuable information. I think the things that really stood out the most are the fact that if you ignore the next generation, you'll likely lose those assets. Steps we can take to prevent that from happening, and then some tools to help with wealth transfers. If anybody on this call has any questions, feel free to email or call us. We will be following up with an email that includes the slides and a checklist to keep track of what's needed for a smooth transition with the next generation. Along with a couple of weeks later, we'll have the piece that goes through how to host a family meeting with an agenda. So as we wrap up, I just wanted to let you know that we'll be having our next quarterly economic webinar with one of our portfolio managers on July 20th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and hope that you can join us for it. Every quarter, we provide a detailed perspective on what's been happening, what may be in store for, and strategies to help guide us forward. In addition, today's session was one of many that we've had in our Building Your Business series. Prior ones are available for viewing on our website under the video library section of our website. Again, thank you very much for joining us today, and have a great rest of the afternoon.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Gary.
Thanks. Bye.